Amazon's corporate employees will make less money in 2023, according to those who are aware of this, and this is reported to the Wall Street Journal this week. According to the report, Amazon pays its corporate employees a large chunk of their annual salaries in restricted stock units, which is very, very normal for large public companies. So stock is a big part of their pay package. But if you haven't been paying attention to this, 2022's stock performance for Amazon will mean that their total salary is going to slip between somewhere between this is a pretty sizable slip between 15 and 50%. That's a pretty big slide. Okay. This is happening with other companies and other executives. I could go through the list one by one. You don't need me to do that. That's available to you on your favorite news website. But it's in the news every day, where you've got some big-time CEOs are voluntarily taking a cut. And they're saying, hey, I'm going to step out in front of this deal, and I'm going to try to model the way. And then you've got a lot of companies that are saying, look, across the board for our executive level, everybody's going to kind of take one for the team, if you will. Okay. Now, it is possible when we see news like this, and that's why I'm reporting just this story and then helping you see that a lot of large public companies are asking their senior level executives to take a pay cut, forcing it, the whole 9 yards. So understand that this is a little bit of that, these companies start seeing this, it starts getting reported, and all of a sudden what was maybe unpalatable for one leadership group or a CEO, when they see other companies doing it and it's reported, and then they go, well, this is kind of what the trend is right now. So they get a little bit more courage, is my point. And so do not be surprised in this calendar year to see more news around pay cuts. Hey, we paid you well. Profits have changed. We're trying to prepare for a potential recession. And so here's what we're going to do. And so we're going to cut our expenses up. We're not going to lay you off, but we're going to change your compensation package. All right? This very well could happen. Okay. So let's just set this up. Before I give you the practical, let's talk about the mental and the emotional, because there is no way, no matter how well it's explained, no matter how much financial sense it makes, if this is brought to you. And by the way, it is safe to say that I'm making a very large assumption that it would be explained to you well, and that it would make a lot of sense. That's in an extremely healthy situation. All right? So it may not make a lot of sense, and it may not be explained very well. All right? So you have two scenarios. Makes a lot of sense, explained well, or it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's not explained well. But either way, it sucks. Best case scenario, it still sucks. It's explained well, makes sense. It still doesn't feel good when you go, I was making this, and now I'm going to make this. It's just a psychological grenade. Shrapnel everywhere. Affects me mentally, affects me emotionally, and because of those two things, could affect me physically. Could affect me relationally if we're living way too tight and we don't have any margin. This is real. Okay? All right. So with that being the context, all right, we got to understand that it's going to have that kind of negative effect on me, and I've got to be prepared to deal with that. Okay? Whether that's going and riding your motorcycle, going and chopping wood, heading to the gym, running, taking your kids to a fun movie, taking a half personal day to get yourself right. I mean, I just want to make sure, I don't want to just kind of, slide over the fact that in order to be able to do what I'm going to tell you to do practically when you take a pay cut, we've got to be in a good place mentally and emotionally to do so. We don't make good decisions when we are reeling emotionally and mentally, and a pay cut will do that to anybody. Even somebody who's making big bucks, to where it doesn't affect their livelihood in any way. it still affects us psychologically and emotionally. So get centered, get some perspective, get some people around you to lighten you up, get you in a better headspace. Here's what you've got to do. Step one, and these are just super practical, but when you get a pay cut, if a pay cut is brought to you, the first thing you've got to do is look at your budget. Some of you may not even do a budget, but in this moment, if there was ever a good time to do a budget, it's when you take a pay cut. And you got to get real numbers in front of you so you are dealing with realities. Because remember, I just talked about how it feels psychologically, and that will just take the voice of fear and doubt and just ignite them. They're yelling at you. So we've got to look at real numbers. We got to look at a budget. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm cutting expenses. My pay has been cut, so I've got to react in kind and cut. Every membership, every subscription, everything you can cut. Cutting out meals that we're doing out, and we're going to just tighten up immediately. Why? To blunt the damage as best as possible. Second, I'm immediately thinking about side gigs. We talked about this to start the show. I'm looking for freelance work, anything I can get, because if I take I'm just making this up, I take an 8% cut, then I'm going, all right, what does that really mean in my paycheck? What's my take-home difference? And that's the budgeting process to really get this and go, okay, so I'm making this up as a round number. So I'm making $600 less per month, real take-home money. How am I going to make up for the $600 cut by me cutting my expenses, or is what I like here, or I'm going to go make the money in a side gig. Hey, how about selling some stuff? Selling stuff you got, maybe learning how to flip some stuff. Now that we get that budget right? So these are other things I can do. And then I think the last thing is you got to be looking for a new gig. I think you have to consider a new gig. It's a very healthy thing to do. You're not jumping, you're not running, but you're going, okay, I took a cut here. Is there a healthier environment? And I've got to look at this. And it just gives me perspective. Even if I don't make the jump, it gives me perspective that I'm not landlocked, if you will, into this one company that's clearly making some cuts for some reasons that, I don't have any control over. And so what it does is it gives me more confidence because I'm clear that, I have some options. So quick review, I'm going to get a budget in play and I'm going to cut expenses everywhere. I'm going to look for that side hustle, gig work, freelance work to make up for and maybe even make more than the cut I just took. I'm going to sell stuff to help get that savings where it needs to be and provide a cushion. And then I'm going to look for a new gig. And hey, here's what you're going to learn. It's not the end of the world. You're going to be okay.